My name is Linda Snipes, and I'm the youth advisor for the Alamance Burlington branch of the NAACP. The Burlington-Alamance branch of the NAACP is dedicated to the fair treatment of all people, and that includes the safety and protection of women. That said, justice for all means protecting the rights of both the accused and the accusers. Some 50 years after the lynching of Emmett Till, it is disconcerting that a black man in America can still be condemned based only on unsubstantiated accusations and hearsay. Reverend Curtis Gatewood was denied due process from both within the NAACP itself and according to the law. And even in a post-Trump America, people are still presumed innocent until proven guilty. The executive committee of the Burlington-Alamance branch of the NAACP calls into question the process or lack thereof that led to the public allegations leveled against Reverend Curtis Gatewood. There are a few concerns that we find suspicious. First, there was no police report nor any legal charges filed. There exists no written reprimands or personnel records to support these accusations. Supporting documentary evidence has not been released. The so-called independent investigator was hired by Reverend Gatewood's campaign opponent to replace the existing personnel committee and is now serving as Ms. Child's legal counsel. This issue was considered as a matter of whether or not personnel policy was violated. Yet the personnel committee was circumvented from taking any role in the investigation. Finally, the cease and desist letter was signed by Reverend Gatewood's campaign opponent as well as William Barber, as past president did not have the authority to enact such an order. The alleged harassment is based on a 2-year-old allegation. These so-called elder women leaders have only now, 2 weeks before the NAACP North Carolina State Conference of Branches election, decided to find their voices. The fact that Reverend Gatewood was running against T. Anthony Spearman, William Barber's hand-picked successor, makes the timing of this urgent campaign to take action against Reverend Gatewood all the more suspicious. It is also suspicious that the 3 elected officers, all women, 2 vice presidents, and the duly elected secretary were not present at the press conference. They were not even aware of the press conference prior to the airing of the event. At least one of these women was removed from the state personnel committee right after this allegation was made in 2017, but retains her seat on the National Board's Human Resources Committee. In effect, the ranking women officers of the NAACP North Carolina State Executive Committee were systematically and purposely excluded from the press conference and the alleged investigation of the complaint. The self-appointed spokespeople at the press conference did not call for any action that could not have been addressed internally or through legal action. They seem to be trying to usurp the authority and force action on the part of the national president and CEO, Derek Johnson, board chairperson, Leon Russell, chief operating officer, Denise Carroll, and the national board members by trying Reverend Gatewood in the court of public opinion. Women elders is not a recognized group within the NAACP. These are rogue members acting independently and counter to the legitimate organizational structure who have taken it upon themselves to attack the national NAACP and falsely accuse the national body of lack of policy. Such a policy does exist. This group is circumvented very reasonable course of actions in favor of creating a media spectacle of unsubstantiated allegations in a not-so-veiled attempt to discredit T. Anthony Spearman's opponent in the upcoming elections. We of the Burlington-Alamance NAACP stand with women and for the safety of women in all arenas. What we question is how these horrific allegations could have gone unvetted and unresolved for 2 long years. We question why William Barber stands with women now, but did not resolve this swiftly during his term as president of the NAACP North Carolina State Conference of Branches. when he served as Reverend Gatewood's direct superior. We question how these elder women leaders have gone unsupported and undefended by President T. Anthony Spearman for his full 2-year term as president. We question why, if these allegations had even the slightest hint of merit, it only became an issue in the waning days of T. Anthony Spearman's utterly unremarkable term as president. We question why Spearman did not act upon taking office when he inherited this alleged harassment case from Barber, who also did not see it resolved. What seems clear is that as long as we are talking about unsubstantiated allegations, we are not discussing the fiscal solvency of the NAACP North Carolina State Conference of Branches. We are suspicious because Reverend Gatewood had pledged, if elected, to authorize an audit of the state accounts, something that has not happened in over 4 years, yet is something that is required by the NAACP Constitution to happen on an annual basis. We suspect that the trail of financial deficits would lead right back to the present and previous administrations. Finally, we find it suspicious that while both of these administrations failed to stand up for the alleged victim for 2 full years, they are now standing by her side, joined by none other than the state treasurer.
Thank you, Linda Snipes. My name is Barrett Brown. I'm president of the Alamance branch of the NAACP. And this press conference was an attempt to explain our position as a branch, and it is also to ask the national NAACP for their help. This is an SOS, a distress call to the national NAACP. We are asking that because Reverend Spearman has at least 2 Article 10s filed against him, that he be removed from office and Carolyn Q. Coleman, the first vice president, be put in his place until it is resolved. If they can suspend the membership of Reverend Curtis Gatewood, they can also suspend the membership and remove from office Reverend T. Anthony Spearman. It is unfair to have one person removed and not have the other person removed. We are also asking that an audit be done of the State Conference of Branches finances, and that the national NAACP please intervene in the state of North Carolina. We are asking as a branch, we are asking as members, some lifetime members, that we not be left unprotected by what's going on. If they can pick out one person without having any charges filed and have a press conference without having anybody who is representing the state make allegations and be removed, they can do that to anybody. Here, 50 years after Emmett Till, when a man can be accused of a crime and condemned without having any court hearing or any kind of allegation substantiated, it's a sad state of affairs. And we are asking for the help of the national NAACP in this affairs. We're now going to hear from our President Emeritus, Ernestine Lewis.
My name is Ernestine Lewis. Excuse me. I'm in this weather. Allergies. My conversation and my statement will be brief. I am speaking on what the Spirit led me to say this morning, to speak on love. This is to Reverend Barber, Reverend Spearman. I would like to know, where is your love for the NAACP? Because I had come up with some things and I had wanted to do some things, but my God, supposed to be our God, we have one God, would not allow me to do anything that will disrupt the NAACP. What is happening now is showing that somewhere, you do not have love for God, yourself, and NAACP. This should not be happening. We know it's more than what meets the eye. And we're going to fight this. We're not going to let you get away with it. If we have to go to court, we'll do what we have to do to resolve this. But Reverend Gatewood is a decent man. I thought all of you were decent men. But what you're doing now, you are destroying the one organization that we, the color, the black, the Afro-American people had. And this is a disgrace to the NAACP, to the people of America. And we need to know what is really behind this, because we know the convention is next week, and you want to remove Reverend Gatewood from the ballot. And what you have done is really a disgrace. And I will ask you to ask yourself, how could you do this? If God is in your heart and love is in your heart, how could you do this? You're destroying yourself and the NAACP. Thank you.
I want to thank the press for showing up here today. I want to thank the members and the officers who have showed up here today. And
I would like to speak to Reverend Gatewood's daughter.
Absolutely. Come on in.
I want to start by saying my father didn't even know I was going to be here. So he did not encourage me to do this. I had not even planned to be here. I got a text message from somebody that this was happening, which I didn't even know.
Take your time.
Courage, buddy.
I didn't know what to say. I had not prepared anything. So I'm just going to speak from what I know and what I feel and what I believe. You all have no idea what we have been through. And I'm not talking about over these last 48 hours. I'm talking about for the last 15 years. You have no idea what we have been through as a family. You have no idea. As much as I love the mission of the NAACP, you have no idea what we've been through with this organization. What I have witnessed as a little girl, this is very hard to stomach. This is very hard to stomach. But I am a believer in God. I'm a believer in God. And I recognize that God has always pulled us through. This is not the first attack. This is not the first time that we've seen something like this. But I will say, there was an Article 10 filed to remove my father because of his disruption of a meeting where he spoke out on behalf of immigrants.
That's right. That's right.
There was an Article 10 that was asked to remove my father because he continued supposedly under the understanding that he was the president of the Alamance NAACP. There was an Article 10 filed against my father because of emails that he sent condemning the state NAACP. It was not until a week before the election that he was poised to win that these allegations surfaced.
Say so.
Now, if we are concerned about somebody being alive and well, functioning under the banner of the NAACP because of the threat that they may pose to someone else, why weren't these allegations brought up from the beginning?
That's right.
That should have been the first allegation that was brought up, not the Hail Mary. My dad has been out here with Stop Killing Us campaign. He's been out here with so many things. So why would you have a press conference the week before the election? If this is about protecting somebody who is a victim of sexual assault, why aren't we in court? Why are we having a trial play out in front of people who do not have context?
Talk about it.
Why are we doing this like this? The NAACP has taken everybody from the state of North Carolina to court, but you can't take Curtis Gatewood to court. Why can't we go to court? Why are we doing this like this? You are destroying people. You are destroying people. I am a victim of sexual assault. I am a victim of domestic abuse. This has been very difficult for me to watch narratives like mine used as political opportunism. This has been very hard. This is not what the Me Too movement is. The Me Too movement is not a political weapon. The Me Too movement is not to assassinate people when we don't like them. If this was the first and the last time that this administration has come against my family, I wouldn't be here right now. But what you're looking at is pent up. This is pent up trauma. This is pent up pain. Because I see it for what it is. I've seen it brewing for 13 years. I've seen it brewing when people ask for financial audits. I've seen it brewing when people knew that people were wrongfully fired. I've seen it brewing when HK&J happened and June Bashea was hit on the head and there was a video of it and the NAACP covered it up. I've seen it brewing. And I don't know why my daddy keeps coming back to this organization, but for some reason, even still, he's fighting to be here. He knows what's to come. He knows. He knows that this is not going to end here. But he still keeps fighting. He fought when they suspended him for speaking out against the war in Afghanistan. He fought no matter what to still be here. And I'm not asking you to take a side in what you believe about these allegations. But I am asking you to ask questions. I am asking you to understand that this isn't the first accusation of misogyny and sexism that has come against this organization, and it was not against my father. I'm asking you to understand again, he didn't ask me to be here. God asked me to be here. I understand, and I'm putting a lot on the line. But the NAACP has taught me to speak truth to power.
That's right.
So if we can't speak truth to power in every circumstance, we don't need to speak truth to power in any circumstance.
Amen. Right. Say that.
I am here again. I am a victim of sexual assault. To all of the survivors, to all of the people who have endured pain and a struggle, I will never try to erase your story or to discourage you from telling your story. And at the same time, I will not allow those stories to be used in times of political opportunism 1 week before an election that somebody was poised to win. This was never tried in court. This was never tried in court. Remember that. This was never tried in court. But if you want to go to court, we have reason now to do it. And this is a shame and a disgrace, and I've lost a lot of love, and I'll never lose love, but I'm really hurt because there are people who I adored, who I absolutely adored, who I really believed were here for justice, and we're here for my family. And if you care about women, if you care about abuse, if you care about trauma and destruction, I want you to know that you have done a number on trauma and destruction and abuse to this black woman right here. Thank you.
Thank you again. I want to reiterate that what this press conference is about is a plea from the National NAACP, which we want to honor and respect, to save us from the use of people who are 2 administrations deep and not having an audit, to come in and intervene and sort out this justice, or this case of a need for justice. I want to thank all the press for coming. I want to thank everybody who spoke. And we're going to leave out singing "We Shall Overcome."
Can we ask some questions? This is a press conference. Can we ask some questions?
We're not going to be entertaining questions at this time. We're not going to have any questions at this
You're
time.
not going to have any questions? This is a press conference. You understand how that works?
Well, I understand that we decided to have it.
You called out Mr. Spearman to be removed from his position and told us nothing why. You can't just do that.
Well,
He did say he had 2 Article 10.
okay, so what I'm going to say is that we had this press conference to make a statement. We are asking for Reverend Spearman to be removed because he had an Article 10 lodged against him. If they have removed 2 Article 10s lodged against him, if Reverend Gatewood can be removed for having an Article 10 lodged against him, then why is the same thing true for Reverend Spearman? And that's all the questions we're going to take for today. Thank you. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Thank you.
Do you want to ask me a question, sir? Sir?
Yeah, can
sir?
I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Obviously,
No. Go ahead. Ask your questions.
you were a victim of sexual assault, and you know the pain that can come along with someone not believing your story. Are you saying you don't believe her?
That is not what I have said today. I said what I said.
You're not commenting.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Desmer Gatewood.
Could you spell that for us, please?
Sure. Desmera.
Thank you for
And
coming today.
how long have you been working for, been with the NAACP? What came about this for you personally?
Child of the movement.
I was about to say I've been a member in some capacity or present in some capacity in the NAACP since 1995.
Do you stand with them when you say this? You think Mr. Spearman should be removed as well?
I believe that Mr. Spearman should receive the same process that my father received.
And what's the position your father's in?
What is the position that he's in?
Yes, his role with the NAACP.
He's
He's been
I was
suspended.
going to say he's been suspended.
What was the role he was suspended from? How did
His membership was suspended.
his membership
Yes.
as a member?
Yes.
His lifetime membership.
Yes.
But the position of authority he was in.
So, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I will explain this.
Oh, sure.
Let me explain this. So, this is what happened. Reverend, we had an election in the fall. There was nobody who had committed to running for president. We found out that Reverend Gatewood had moved to Alamance County, and I had consented to run for president. So after the elections were over, I had been elected president. There was no one who was elected vice president. In January, we had an executive committee meeting, we had a general meeting, and unanimously, the executive committee elected Reverend Gatewood as president, as first vice president. There was a vote, and he was elected first vice president in the executive committee meeting. It was ratified at general meeting, and a month later, I resigned as president. He ascended to the presidency. As soon as Reverend Spearman found out that he was president, he ordered us to stop proceeding with Reverend Gatewood as president. We ignored that. Then we heard from the legal counsel. We ignored that. Regional counsel, we heard that. When the national president suspended him, we abided by the ruling of the national president awaiting a hearing.